a very interesting take because I think within social media right now, and I guess also actually within the community as well, because I think social media is just a reflection of what people actually think. Maybe they won't say it like face to face, but they're thinking it. That's why they're commenting it, and you know the thoughts are there. But I feel like there's such a divide between, and I have this question in there, and it's actually a question that says, should black men be encouraged to emotionally express themselves more? And I feel like when I wrote that question, it was a question where for me it's like, yeah, obviously. I mean, you have to be vulnerable. I feel like vulnerability and love is like one coin, and it's two sides to it, you know? If you want to open your heart to feel love and all the great things, you can't just be like, I'm just taking in the love and the vulnerability. I'm going to, you know, brush under the carpet. You have to kind of be open for both. So what is your opinion? Because, sorry, just quickly. And then but every time I post about it on the page, about men expressing themselves emotionally, be it towards the family, friends, or even like the romantic partners, there's so many men that are like, no way, you want to feminize the black man, talking about the pearls in the hand. It all kind of goes together automatically, even though I don't even think it has to automatically be like, okay, you talk about your feelings, handbag. You know, it's not like something that straight away connects, but generally, so many men saying, no, this is the worst, you can never open up to a woman, she will hold it against you, and all these things. And I just feel like, so basically you're saying that men, and let's keep it within the community, black men are just not there. They were not made to be loved.
No,
that's what it's giving when people like always talking about masculinity. It's like men are just not meant to be loved.
No,
it's just,
specifically, you know, black men were not made to be loved. They are tools of capitalism and profit, and their whole value system is based on how much they earn and how much they contribute to that ideology. And that's why men who might stay at home aren't centered in society, is because that's not a respected place to hold, especially in blackness. And we've created this like hyper masculinity in blackness, which is I have to be the strongest, smartest, and richest black man at all times. And without that, I'm some sort of failure. And I think like we weren't made to be loved, and we haven't been created an environment, a culture where we can be loved. But I would say even more tellingly that when black men do communicate their feelings, I don't feel that there's an openness to that. Like the position of a man in family and society is, if he's not centered and powerful or feeling good, then what does that mean for everybody else? Like if you was to go to your female partner and say, this is how, or feminine energy, and say, this is how I'm feeling, and it's earth-shattering, then what does that mean for the feminine energy? Like if I told you that I don't feel safe and I don't feel comfortable and I'm worried about my future and my mental health is not good and I physically don't feel my best self, I'm not in shape, then you don't feel safe now. Because you're like, oh, this is not just about empathy and being like, how can I help? It's like, whoa, wait, you've got all these things going on. What about us? What about me? What about the kids? What about what we've built? Like, what's going to happen to that? So immediately in you not feeling safe, I'm not saying you specifically, but how can that person then turn around and be an ally to them? Because your self-interest is at risk. And so often in that dynamic, we create this space where men can't truly say what's happening for them. I felt like if many people heard what really men go through men's head, the fear that they have, there will be a real reckoning socially in terms of the position of men. But men know that it comes at a cost. It invites other men to attack and try to do things to you, like being vulnerable all the time. People try it on you. They feel like now you're not a man, so I can just do stuff to you. And then you find yourself in a dynamic where people are creating things for you to deal with on top of what you're dealing with. So many men don't advocate saying those things. Like, you have to understand that I grew up in an environment where every day you walked out of your house was a consideration that it was to be attacked or attacked. So a part of me knows how to deal with those scenarios, of course. But do I have to become the 16-year-old young Marvyn to survive my adulthood? Like, I have children, I have employees, I have jobs. I can't afford to be 16-year-old Marvyn with all of those responsibilities. But if I don't walk out with that armor on, people will dishonor you. Like, they don't see you as a person, they see you as someone to take things from. So it's like, it's that battle between how authentic and vulnerable can a man really be in this environment. Like, he doesn't have the privilege of, you know, the security and being protected by the government, law, you know, whatever policies and procedures that are being created to protect his like ability to self-express. So it is a bit of a minefield to navigate for black men.
So do you feel like the black man should be encouraged to emotionally express themselves more?
Yes, but I think they should do that to other black men. They shouldn't invoke it externally. Like, I personally find a different level of conversation. We hold a men's group every month, and every time we hold that group, a man says something to me that makes me want to cry, that makes me have a really strong feeling, makes me want to do something, makes me want to hug him, because they're really going through it. But he can say that in the room with us because we all know what that is really like. But if he goes and says that in his home, he says that in front of his parents, they'll talk about how the olden days was tougher. If he goes and talks to, like, obviously you can't go talk to your children about that. If you go talk to your partner, that means something in terms of the house that you're building. So it's a place where you speak to your brothers. You need strong, healthy male, like, people that you're coexisting with. Like, trying to exist alone as a man is not healthy.
So tell me more about the group, like that I can put maybe like a link or something like that.
Well, we don't really, like, for me, I don't really want to overly expose it. It's just a space that we have, and we do invite openly men to come and join that space. But it's not one of those things, like, we're oversubscribed as it is. Like, it's too full every single month, which is great. But it means that we need more intentional spaces for men to exist in. And it's clear that men don't have it. So yeah, it's something that I'm very, very present to. And obviously, like, we want men to come and seek help. But I think the WhatsApp group we created for Dope Black Dads is the perfect example. The Facebook group is the perfect example, because you can go in there on a Facebook group, just type a message and be like, this is what I'm experiencing, I'm having trouble with X, Y, and Z. And a group of men will just come and just answer the questions.
Oh, lovely.
So I think that's probably the healthiest thing to signpost, because I think it will benefit a lot of people.
I will add that, like,
somewhere
here, yeah. Okay, well, I mean, for me as a woman, it's actually really, really sad to hear, because, I mean, I just feel like thinking about having a partner, you know, being with a black man in a relationship. I would love the idea that the same way he's there for me and can support me, remembering like my ex-boyfriend, that every time there was like something wrong with me, I wasn't stressing up something, I was upset about something, like something was bothering me, I could always go to him and like he will make me feel better. Like he'll always find like, and even till today we're still friends. If I'm really feeling down, I know I can call him and we have like 1 hour conversation, and after I feel better. And I think it's so sad. Like, I'm actually really, really sad right now that I'm never gonna, like, that it's not something I can give back. Well, like I would love the idea to be able to give that back. And I think men always talk about how they open up or they're being vulnerable, and then you kind of like hold it against them. And actually there was a conversation with me and my ex-boyfriend as well, when I didn't feel like I held it against him. It's just like some things he told me about his childhood. And then one time we had like a disagreement. And then he said something, and I was like, without being shouty, and I didn't say it in a rude way, I was actually quite calm. I was like, and see, this is exactly, you know, what you said your parents did, and now we're repeating that. And it's not a good thing. And then he's like, you're holding it against me, but isn't that holding it against? That's not it. But can't you see that that's something that bothered you as a child, and now you're doing the same thing?
It's not your job to join those pieces together. And that's what I mean by that.
But why not? Because you, if he did that to me, I would be like, yeah, you know, you're actually right. And the funny thing is, now he realizes these things, but in the moment, it's like sometimes I feel like you can swallow your ego a bit. It's not just every day can tell you anything. Like sometimes, like really listen and be like, you know what? You're actually right. Let me think about that. No, you just straight like in your like pride thing, but sometimes you can,
like, first and foremost, you need to have capacity as a man to be able to hear that.
Yeah.
So there is still, timing is still an essence.
Yes.
Maybe not in a moment of a conflict do you bring up the thing regarding his childhood.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like, okay, let me go and reflect, and then tomorrow you'll be like, oh, another thing we discussed yesterday, do you think there's a link here? I think also it's just like, as a partner in a relationship, we all need to improve our language. We all need to improve the ways that we communicate and be able to say what we mean. Also understand boundaries, also understand timing. Like, my measurement of does it work is a real question to myself. If it didn't work, regardless of my intentions, something's wrong. So I could say that, yeah, I'm pointing out something to you, you should be accountable and take it in. But in reality, it didn't work. So either my timing was off, or my tone was off, or the content was off. And only you will know truthfully which one of those things it was. And it's okay to be like, I'm right, but I did it in the wrong way. And then come back and revisit it another time when it's less challenging. Like, we can't go around prodding around things clumsily, around things that have been shared with you that are challenging for people. And there's conversations that we've had, I just wouldn't bring it up in any summation of anything I experience in you in, because I don't know where you're at with that thing in that particular time to be able to say, well, I'm joining two dots for you and I'm showing you what it like. It's like, no, I wouldn't. I'll just keep that separate, because I feel when you told me that it was something that was happening for you, and you're telling me because you want that information to feel safe, but you also want to get it out of you. And you want to have a shared experience about what you're experiencing. I think that's dope to be able to have someone you can share those really vulnerable, sensitive things with. I don't then need you to present it back to me in a bow and be like, this is why you're fucked up, or this is why your life isn't working.
Well, I did say it like in the quiet, like, but yeah, I guess the best thing would have been to just...
It sounds like a timing thing.
Yeah, and then just talk about it another time, like when everything calmed down, also, and be like, let's just, like, after the argument, when you made up, whatnot, we can be like, when we spoke about this, actually, it reminded me of X, Y, Z, and I really think together we can work on that. That, we don't repeat it, because I do believe
also, just like, it isn't even that. It's just like, do you think there's a link between these two things? And also, did you, like, affirm and be like, I love you? And like, this is something that really came up for me when you were talking yesterday. And it sounded really big for me. And I hope you're okay, because you were not okay at that moment. And I want us to be okay. Like, I feel like sometimes the idea of affirming men and reassuring men is like a frowned upon thing to do. But all of us are trying to grow out of our child state. All of us. Yeah. And so the way you treat people sometimes, it's like, I'm in my child state and I need to be handled correctly. It isn't just to be like, well, you're a big person, you shouldn't be in your child state, so I'll talk to you like this. Like, the way sometimes I've seen men and women talk to each other is so mad and dishonorable. Yeah. It's like you're basically just saying, I don't care about you anyway. And then that's when people feel unsafe. And then the first thing he's going to want to do is get justice off of how you made him feel. So even after that, I'm pretty sure there was another instances where he would just put his F it button on and was just like, oh, F it then. If you want to talk to me about those things, then I'll just chuck something at you for you to deal with, because I feel this way now. Or I'll go create something and spend time flirt with another woman to show you that, like, I can move on too. Like, it's just a very sensitive thing. And I think in those relationships, if you want them to work and that person in your life, you cannot engage in that way with information that they share.